Hello, welcome und willkommen, liebe Freunde. My name is Daniel and this is DeepTalk Society. This is my new channel and yeah, don't worry, it's not a faceless channel. I'm not AI. I have a few other channels where I show my face, but I want to go with the safe route on this channel, and that's also why I'm gonna show you some gameplay of Battlefield or World of Warcraft or something like that in the background, because I want to trick the algorithm. Because if you put like Epi or Maxes, and that's what I call them because the algorithm, because if you show them too much, a new channel is most likely not to be referred to you guys, so that's why I do it this way. This is a German and English channel. I will post German videos for my German audience, I will post English video for all of you, because my goal is to have a safe future and safe reality for all of us, for our kids. And I think we gotta fight for that. We have to fight. This is all a spiritual battle between good and evil, between light and darkness. But, well, with this story you see that not everything's dark is evil and not everything's light is good. And yeah, I will split those parts in like 6 parts. The next part won't have me talking that much, so this is just for this video. And yeah, I will upload the whole thing too, and when I'm done with that I will go into some detail, because I created some notes about what she said, what they said, and yeah, it's a whole lot of BS to say it mildly. Oh yeah, guys, please leave a rating on the video. It helps out so much. It's so appreciated. And also leave a comment if you don't have time for any comments. Fair enough, I know we don't have time these days, but please leave an emoji, leave a smiley. I don't know, do you say smiley? Because German guys, they know smiley. Leave an emoji, that would help out so much. And of course, subscribe for new stuff, activate the bell icon so you can always see new uploads. And of course, share these videos. We gotta raise awareness. It's not just my effort, it's your effort too. And we're here for a reason. And this is the reason. So yeah, in the background you will see some gameplay of some games, and yeah, I'd say we'll dive straight right into the video.
Like to let you know that it works. Today's date is Thursday, July 24th. This will be the recording of a proffer agreement of Ghislaine Maxwell from the Deputy Attorney General, DOJ, and the time is currently 9:16. Maxwell and counsel are arriving to the U.S. Attorney's Office, and we will commence the proffer shortly.
I'm going to ask everybody to put the name on the record, of course.
All right. Good morning. My name is Assistant Special Agent in Charge Spencer Horn of FBI New York. Today we're doing a proffer of Ms. Maxwell. The date is July 24th, and the time is 10:12 a.m. This interview is being recorded.
So, Deputy, and my name is Todd Blanche. I'm the Deputy Attorney General, and before we start formally asking questions of Ms. Maxwell, I'm going to put on the record everybody that's in this room in addition to me. Starting at Diego Pistona, Associate Deputy Attorney General. And then you heard from Special Agent in Charge Horn. Mark Beard from the United States Marshal Service is here as well. And then David?
Yes, this is David Oscar Marcus, and I'm counsel for Ghislaine Maxwell.
My name is Thea Safran, and I'm counsel for Ghislaine Maxwell.
My name is Melissa Magdor, and I'm counsel for Ghislaine Maxwell.
Go ahead.
And I'm Ghislaine Maxwell.
Good morning, Ms. Maxwell. How are you?
Good morning, Mr. Marcus.
Okay, so before we started recording, we met for a few minutes. I introduced myself, and we chatted, and now I told you that we were going on the record. And before we start asking questions, I know that you've been given by your lawyer a copy of what's called a proffer agreement. And I just want to spend 2 minutes making sure that you understand what governs our conversation today. the most important part of this agreement is that this isn't a cooperation agreement, meaning that by you meeting with us today, we're really just meeting. I'm not promising to do anything. I'm not promising to ask Judge Nathan or any of the judges that's been assigned to your case to do anything. We're just talking. And so that's the most important part of this agreement. However, almost as important is the fact that what this agreement does for you is it gives you protection. So what it means is that the government cannot use what you say today against you, with some exceptions, which we'll talk about in a minute. But whatever you talk about today, you have what's called immunity. So that means that the words that you say today, we cannot use against you in a case in chief if we were ever to bring one. Okay?
Thanks.
There's exceptions to that. The most meaningful one of which is that if you say something today that's not true, that's a lie, we can bring a prosecution against you for what's called false statements. So I'm a federal officer. I have several officers here. The FBI is here, and if you lie to someone that's like me or like Special Agent Horn, it's a crime. So you have to be truthful. The other exception to this that doesn't necessarily apply directly to you, but if there ever was a retrial in your case, or if there ever was a criminal case, a future criminal case against you, and your lawyer or you said something different or took a position that's different than what you say today, we can then cross-examine you or witness based on what you say today. So it's a little bit nuanced, meaning I can't use what you say against you in our case in chief. However, if you were to testify, or if your lawyer called a witness to testify, and they said something that is totally different than what you say today, we could then cross-examine you or the witness and say, hey, do you remember when we met with Miss Maxwell back in July of 2025? She told us, and then say what she said. Okay?
I understand.
Okay. Other than that, I know you didn't have a lot of time this morning to meet with Mr. Marcus, but did you have a chance to go over this briefly with them?
I did.
Okay. All right. So I've already signed it, as has Special Agent Warren, and Mr. Marcus signed it as well. So you got a pen? Please sign it right where it says clients. Yep. And I will provide a copy of this to your lawyer so you guys have it. Okay. Thank you. So, Ms. Maxwell, about a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago, you see the light like that on the summit? Yep, there it is. Okay, we're just confirming that it works, and it does. Ms. Maxwell, I guess about a week and a half or 2 weeks ago, Mr. Marcus reached out to me and said that you wanted to speak with somebody from the government about not only your case, but about everything that's been in the media and that's been publicized about Mr. Epstein in your case.
That was true, and I did speak to him, and I did ask him if we did tell him that I was very clear to anyone, because no one from the government at any time ever had been such the section of the case, so dating back to the early 2000s, has ever spoken to him, and indeed I believe ever reached out to me at any time to even speak to him, and that includes up to when I was indicted and prosecuted. I believe that, I understand, I should say, rather, that my attorneys at the time did tell the government that I wanted to speak to them because I was very excited to hold it anyway, so that I could kept them asking any question. I'd never had any problem to speak to anybody, and I offered my side, and I kept asking if they would be able to, I could put together, for whatever reason, the client was not happening.
Okay. I have questions that I want to ask you, but I'm not, if there's a question that I'm not asking that you think should be asked, I invite you to volunteer. Same thing goes to your lawyer. Just to start a little bit, very briefly, can you talk about when you first met Mr. Epstein. I know that goes back a while, and just very generally talk about your relationship with Mr. Epstein from the time you met him all the way up until his death.
I met Mr. Epstein in 1991. I'd never heard of him or met him before, and no one in my family had ever knew that. My father never knew him, and I explain why that is the case. And
Where did you meet him?
I had a girlfriend who I moved to America briefly I moved to America in 1990.
Okay.
That's a good word. I'd come to visit America in 1990. I had been running my own company up until that time, which is a company called Transcripts. And I had also been working for my father at the time. I had multiple jobs with him. I was, in 1990, I was working with a new company of his, Benny was speaker, where he was literally putting work there. And I was in charge of launching a magazine to go with the and I was traveling at that time from England to America because my father was looking to we should do some work in the publishing house, and he had purchased the New York Daily News. And it's true that my father always wanted me to come back full time and work for him, but that's a much longer story I don't think we're willing to go into at this time. So, but I was always working with him. Well, it was very escaping, as it were, to work for him. So, in 1990, I had come over to New York to help look at some of that. So, he was having some advertising issues with the New York Daily News, and in fact, I met a neighbor that Donald Trump at that time, because my father was friendly with him and liked him very much. And I thought it should be said that he also very much liked Ivana, because she was also from Czechoslovakia when my dad was born. So I don't remember if I did meet him or not in 1990 with my dad, but that's how I knew about Dennis DeCruz.
And this was before you met?
This was before I met Mr. Epstein. Yeah. Well, so I was already going about the same forwards in America, and then when April of 1991, I came to New York, but I can't remember for what reason, a business reason, but there was a business reason, something to do with my dad at that time. And a girlfriend of mine, an American, told me, I broken up with my mom. I've been engaged with a very long-time boyfriend, and we've broken up. And she's in my car. So the girlfriends do, what a guy needs to meet. And I'm like, who is it? And she goes, he's been dating my sister, and he'll love him, he's looking for a wife. I'm edging towards 30. I don't need to tell you guys that's a very important moment for $1. So, think about the quarter things. So, are you happy to meet him? And so sometime in between 91 and 1991, I met him at his office on NASA that week. And I think the most memorable thing I can think about that is he was wearing a tie which didn't often give it had a giant tomato ketchup sticking. So I was like, wow, okay. And that was how
Was your meeting at his office for you to meet him just personally, or were you there for work-related reasons?
No, I knew nothing about it. Okay. He just invited me to come and have tea. And I was like, tea, that's all this, okay. But what was unusual was in his office. So I went to his office and we met. and I found him very engaging, and that's
So, okay, so that's how you meet him. So, and again, I don't want to spend a lot of time, on this particular issue, but what happened with your relationship over the years from the time you meet him in 1991 up until the time that he passed away? Just give the highlights.
okay. So I was looking for real estate for my dad to buy some, and Epstein told me that he was also looking to me from his apartment and would I help pay. I said, sure, and looked already so I could look at him, so that's how it started. And then in 1991, my father passed away, and I returned to New York after that, originally to come back and help with family businesses, which was a regular meeting. And then the debacle of my father's passing hit the family, and we lost all our businesses, and my family thought that it would be best if I stayed in America because of the intensity of the press and the dynamics surrounding my father's death and movement. So I stayed, and Epstein says, well, you can keep helping me for help us find that house, so we can decorate the house, so we're going to something sort of.
Were you in a romantic relationship with her at this point, or just friends?
Just friends.
And while we're just, with respect to your father, there have been multiple questions about whether he worked for any intelligence agency. Do you have any knowledge about that?
I think, certainly my father had background in intelligence because he was, I believe he did in the Second World War. He was a British intelligence officer. I think that my sort of belief is that once you've been an intelligence officer, you're kind of, always it doesn't mean that you're formally employed. So I don't think my dad in any formal sense was, employed by any agency, but when you a very significant businessman and politician as my father was, who meet with people all the time, and I guess create was the versatile ideas. I think if that would fall under that definition, that's how I would think it. Now, we certainly, I have no formal knowledge of anything specifically that she did in that thing, but if you're asking me, I feel that she did help people. The answer would be yes.
Did your father and Mr. Epstein have a business relationship over the years? I know we're maybe jumping around a minute there for that.
They never met. So
as far as you know, they never met.
No, I
know they never.
I know they never met.
Well, how do you know they never met?
They just categorically know they never met. Well, because after in 1991, before my father died, he asked me if I'd met anybody interesting or whatever, because I was still trying not to get sucked back into the family business. And I told him that I had met Mr. Epstein, and the reason why I shared that I'd met Mr. Epstein because I believed at that time that Epstein worked for Bear Stearns, and Bear Stearns was one of our banks. And I knew that my father was friendly with a folks with Ken and with Escriba. So my dad was actually in New York, I think. I don't think I had this conversation on the phone, but I was talking 30 years ago, so I'm not sure. But maybe I told him this verbatim because I know that what my dad did, whether I saw it or whether I just did it and told me later, I don't remember. But he called both Jimmy Taylor and Ace Greenberg to ask if what sort of guy he was, and wasn't even allowed to, because so
they never met.
He didn't even know.
But they knew some of the same people. It sounds like, or certainly the Bear Stearns connection was something that you knew that they had.
No, well, he never had a connection with Epstein. He had a connection with the bank. I mean, Epstein, I'd never heard of him or we were telling before, and I certainly, if my dad had known him, right, when I said this is who he was, he didn't know who he was. Yeah. So he rang Ace and he rang Jimmy to ask if it was okay that I even knew him. And I just want to explain briefly why my father would even do such. I've had so many like that interesting things that have happened in my life, and one of them was to be found on an IRA kidnap and murder. And so after that happened, well, there were other related as another boy with also horrible things in that vein, but if you want the details, of course, I came back and after that happened, my father wanted to put a lot of protection on Ghislaine, and I declared on campus that was a very light, restricting events. You all in there before, so how you understand this. And so he had told me that so I would be teaching my life in your house and whatever. And so I think after that, some several others where I had still crazy things that one has. So it was always quite protective of it. And so if I met somebody, she would try and verify that they were do anything hideous and say, in case you thought it was weird that she would call someone an ace, it might, you may think it is, but from my perspective, he was just because he was beside, I was in America alone, and she had an opportunity to verify who this person is. And so I don't know if that's in the real with him, I don't recall it, but I know that at some point my father told me he's fine, you can see it.
Yeah.
He's safe.
Okay.
Well, okay.
So we might come back and touch a little bit more on that at some point, but
yeah,
I went down a rabbit hole from it.
That's all right. I just wanted to know.
No, that's helpful. Thank you. So, okay, so you're now in the 90s, and your friends like Mr. Epstein is at your house, that you decorating the house or the apartment. What happened with your relationship again? I know we're talking about a 35-year time period or whatever, but to the extent you can kind of at a very high level talk about it.
Listen, I think just full disclosure is the best way to go at this point.
Yeah.
So in 1992, I slept with him one time. And I was like, well, that's it. We're going to be dating. Because that's how I thought. And I kind of thought of myself in that moment, like, because I felt like he slightly troubled that we were better. Dating of it. Yeah. That's the world I came for. But that really wasn't. That's how it worked. But we didn't sleep together again for, I don't know, really a significant period of time. And then I think
years or
that you do. I don't know if it's a year. That feels long, but maybe 9 months. I mean, a long time. Okay. And I just want to go back. So I had found a house for him to rent in New York, because he had asked me. I'd been looking for my father, and I found one, which was a former Iranian embassy, I think it was, so the local Iranian embassy. What you were asked? So, okay. And I didn't know that she had any money. You know, it was like, I wanted to say it was $12,000 a month, which clearly said like a fortune. And I said to my son, I found this house, but I don't get to afford it. It's fruit. So there's of course I could afford it, rent. And that house came with, it was a State Department house, because I think it was under sector station or whatever it was. And I put it back together, but it was like, because we had to go back and gave it back to the country. So she had this house, and I had moved into a 10-foot by 10-foot apartment, because all of our stuff had been either lost or frozen or whatever. So he became was very like my back because it felt very similar to this, if that makes sense to you. Anyway, so, but I had no key to his house, I had no free access to his house, And in the entire time that you lived there, which was, I believe, until the beginning of 1996, I never slept a single night. Did that.
But so you said a minute ago that that you had slept with him on one occasion, and at the time you remember thinking, that this meant you were in a relationship, but then it didn't. You really were not in that type of relationship.
So
Did that change over between 91 and 92 or whatever, and years forward?
So I did travel with him.
Yeah, okay.
So I would go to his house in on the beach. He only had that house actually in no.
So
Yeah, the house in Palm Beach, and he had a house in Ohio.
in where?
Ohio.
Okay.
And we had the house in Ohio because of his business relationship with Mr. Epstein. And he had and I had to go and decorate and put that house together. And when we traveled together, I stayed with him, but not in England. It's what I did it. Yes.
Go ahead. It's okay. Talk. So you stayed. So when you would travel with him to his houses in Palm Beach, Ohio, or even just traveling, it was just traveling with him, you would stay in the same bed, so sleep in the same bed with him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Epstein told me that he had a heart condition.
A what?
Heart condition.
Heart condition. Okay.
Which meant that he didn't have it also much. Which she didn't find, because I actually do that. Which means that a lot
So what was your understanding of his heart condition and why that prevented him from having, and of course, regular?
I mean, she liked other forms of sexual antics.
Well, let's come back. We're going to obviously spend a lot of time on the actual conduct he was accused of. So we'll come back to that. So pick up where you were talking about you traveling around with him. He had rented the New York former Iranian
Right, yeah.
until around 96. That time, I believe you said that he was basically your life, like you were with him pretty regularly.
Well, so I never was returned after it. That is one of those scenarios. I mean, at the beginning, I did see more of him, but I worked in his office. So I would go to the office and I would see, and I would count in my head when I would see him, I would count that I would see, that'd be a day that I would see him. But I never ever stayed with him. I believe, certainly until 92 and 94, what I didn't know was that I thought he was still with his action backwards. There was Eva Anderson, who became Eva Jubilee. They had been together last time, I think about 10 years. I'm not sure, but that's what I think, 10 years. And I had understood from my girlfriend initially that they were together, and Epstein himself had told her that they're not together, but I don't think that was true. So they were still together up until like 93, when at some point in that period had either met Glenn Dubin or they got married. I think in 94, I don't remember when they got married. But her, she was his best friend and his everything. She told me that she always wished to put her blows back and she had a child with her. And I know that she was kind of so his whole life. Thank you, and I'm not sure this is true, but you guys will know if this is true or not. When he came back from Paris and you arrested him, I don't know if Eva was on the plane. I think that either I read it in the discovery that I received, or I saw it somewhere, but either she wasn't on the plane, it must have been some email communication where she was in Paris at the same time. It was like one or the other. I don't know which one was the correct person. But so they were still obviously very close and remained throughout the entire time. She was so her. And so I also know now, which I didn't know at the time, was that she saw lots of other women. And I know that now because I can see it from the flight logs, and I have it now because I can see from the emails.
So you know from the case
Yes,
that what happened.
I didn't know.
that.
Contemporaneously, I absolutely didn't know.
So, okay, so just, and we're going to spend time on everything you're talking about, but just to kind of close out, big picture, your relationship. So we're now in the late 90s. Continue on with, again, saying high level to the extent you can about your relationship with him.
So after, so my responsibilities increased with each acquisition she's had and each new project. So I believe the first thing that he purchased after was the ranch in Eric's.
Okay.
And so what he had tasked me with, I think that was purchased in 94 or something. So he had tasked me, one of the things that we did was visit, in my mind I say every state, but it wouldn't have been every state, but many states, to go look at real estate. And so I know we went to Montana, and I know we went to Utah, and it was to go look at real estate hotels. And then I realized first away to New Mexico, and she just loved New Mexico. And then I don't remember how the ranch happened, but it ended up it's left. And then we ended up buying the ranch with it. So right, it came to with the tourists, in the cafe, and bought the ranch. And then I had to deal with that. Dealing with that was extensive. I mean, the way that I do with myself, or the way that I think is the best way to explain how I view my role, was as a general manager. Because each property today was like a hotel. So the ranch was very challenging. It was not only that it had BLM land, so to have the hotel or BLM have and I love it. So it first thing also is so I wanted it to have a ranch. I like authenticity. So I thought that we should have a ranch. You're not going to have the things that make it special.
So were you paid by him along the way?
So I became salaried and something. My memory is that I got paid $25,000 a year to begin with. That's my memory. I'm not even.
Yeah.
And then with each, as it became more obvious, because I thought sure I was going to be paid. And but
did you, and financially, you were not relying on him, the $25,000 or whatever amount you were paid, were you relying on that money to live and his generosity to live, or did you have your own money?
So there's
and again, I want to just make sure we're talking about that, like keeping it between like the late 90s, maybe I guess into a little of the 2000s.
I just want to hit something on the head right now. There's a tremendous amount of recording that said that I had a trust fund. Thank you. A trust fund. I had to have a public trust at any times.
So how did you live? Did you live with, I mean, 25,000 is not enough to live on.
Yeah. So I had, during this period of time, the secret, very serious fraud squad that come to see me, in relation to my father's pastor, and to establish that I had been involved. And then as well, his business over the shenanigans. That's it. I've told the story many times, it's somewhat hypocritical, so I'll tell you what my memory is. So I received a letter from them that said, you should take out my business, and my memories maybe it's about before. There's a PS that said, I use steroids, custom. I had nothing. Then I've never involved in any case business together, so I was free. And
but you're, obviously your father and your family had a lot of businesses. Is it because the money, whatever money or whatever equity was in the businesses just stayed with your other family members?
Yeah, it was very well. So my father was never attached to them. Yeah. He was born as a real one. Dirt floor, no shoes, no clothes. Well, some clothes, but not dinner. So he had nothing to see. And nothing. And he was never into that. I mean, there were things that he had his extravagances. He loved his boat and his clothing. So obviously he didn't do anything for that. But there was nothing else. And there was not a silver penny that took place at any time ever.
Okay, so when you're talking about your life with Mr. Epstein in the 90s, you're very different financially. You're very different financially positioned than he is. Meaning he's giving you money, he's paying for when you fly, he pays for your flights.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I interrupted you when you were saying how you were functioning as general manager, you helped with the New Mexico ranch. So did your role with him continue like that for many years, or for how long?
So I continued in 2000. Well, by 1999, our relationship had foundered.
Why?
Well, 2 reasons. We would never sleep all together again, so we stopped having sexual relations in 1999. No. Full sex. So, just it didn't mean that we didn't still share a bedroom, so we could come and sleep, whatever. She had another girlfriend.
He had what?
Other girlfriend. I definitively knew that it was over after 9/11.
Sure.
Because we were both in New York.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we were going out and kind of, I mean, the 9/11 was,
You got it.
and it was a scary time. She was in New York. You didn't know. I didn't know. Nobody knew what was going on. And she was in 71st Street, and I was in the 65th Street, Lakers. And so we're in a cell. So his mum, I was very close for, was in the hospital at Lennox Hill, just asked me to look after her. And then I knew, as anyone did at that time, you're not going to be there. Somebody there with like an emergency. So for me, that was the liaison. James had another English girlfriend mentioned for 2000.
Are you, though, still on his... Are you still being paid by him at this point?
Yes.
Okay, so go ahead. So what like, at that point, when you say you realized kind of...
No, I mean, I'm talking about I wanted to get married and have children. And Epstein had encouraged me to believe that would, I don't know about the, certainly by the late 90s, anyway, the marriage part was never going to happen. I had believed that way in 96, 77, and 98, maybe, but then I realized it wasn't that. But I did think that we might have a child, which is what I had really wanted.
So what happens between 2001 and then 2019? What's your relationship with him?
So,
give or take 2001.
So we stopped having physicality. I mean, that doesn't mean we weren't friends. I certainly did stay sometimes in his room. Friendly benefits, if you are, just not say. Just
yeah.
And I started dating.
Okay.
And I met someone that I found very much in love with in 2008. And his own was Ted Waits. And a great jewel known as a Townsend gave the guitarist. And we had an amazing relationship that ended went on until and with towards eternity. And I was with Ted from that.
Did you meet him through Mr. Epstein?
Yeah. Well, indirectly, I suppose you could say, so, yeah, they never met. I was as a dinner. Where I met Ted, like it was a something like this. I was as a choice. Precisely as it's my friend, what I was teaching of you. And Epstein had the same. And that was a dinner and cut most of the time. So I guess indirectly through me, so I said this, it was with his brother, but I'd have been there, I knew I was without it. I had, it was not
Was Epstein on the plane when you guys split?
on that trip, yes. Yeah. But it just,
So when you say the dinner was well.
quickly.
Okay. And so you had flown over with, I'd said who was on the plane for that trip? I don't mean everybody. When you said, so Mr. Epstein was on the plane?
Yes.
You were on the plane?
Yes.
Who else? That you can remember. I'm not, you only know what you remember. There was an Clinton on the plane?
Could say. He would have had his guy, Doug Banks.
You probably did it.
Or maybe do some quick afterwards. I could see. But,
So how do you meet why do you say that's when you met him and that you met him through Clinton?
well, it was I don't think Ted would have been there had it been it was a President Clinton dinner, and he took points to be President Clinton, not because it's Mr. Epstein. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That's why I say that.
Okay, so so in the time that you're dating, that you're with him to 2009, are you still working for Mr. Epstein during that time?
So here is to it'd be true to say that Jesse tried very hard. He tried very hard to work hard because, and this is a complex of I'm not talking about anything untoward, just the sheer size of the projects I'm talking about, construction projects, houses. It's a really significant job. And I ran all the property lists, the staff in the property, the management of the properties, and the construction. And they took tens of millions of dollars. I can't remember what the budget was, inscription and any given year. It's gone. But these are very significant projects. And so that was what I did, and I managed the budget. Well, I didn't manage the budgets, I oversaw the budget. So just to make sure that if you said you bought an air conditioner, and saw an air conditioner, people that I don't know, did you receive carrier, whatever,
When did Mr. Epstein purchase the island?
I wanted to say 96 or 97, something like that.
Okay, so we're going to come back and spend more time on the money with respect to Mr. Epstein and his wealth, but just so we can finish this. So in 2009, you ended your relationship with Ted?
Catherine.
Okay.
I can't remember. It was 10.
Okay. So in that time period, what happens next as far as your relationship with Mr. Epstein?
I don't know if I did.
You don't have one of them, you don't see him, or it's just a different relationship?
I did see, maybe once or twice, maybe with 3 times. I suddenly went to his house once, for sure. Maybe twice. But I was not something. The only time that I was in touch with him was when the spill campaigns came somewhere in the press that affected me, or when the CDRA case was filed and there was all that rubbish that went out, because I needed information. Because I didn't know anything about what was there, and I needed stuff. I was just accelerating in good ways. I took me his help, and then to have answers so that I had an ability to defend myself. That's what I'm talking about. Not
So when does that relationship change? So you're working, you talked about when the physical relationship stopped, and then you're still working for him or with him, managing his properties and serving as like a general manager. You then start your own relationship with another individual with Ted from 2003 till 2009 or 10. At what point in that whole period is there like more of a break where you're no longer acting as a gentleman?
I wanted to have a full break when I started using people who was clever. I suppose it would be easy to say that I sort of viewed Mr. Epstein like race to his family, if you will, like someone I could rely on. And I should have had more confidence in myself. I can see that now, but at the time, given everything that had happened in my life, I thought that it would, and I saw how he was with other people like Lisa, who thought to be very comfortable saying, I thought this situation, and he always said I was like family, so he worked hard to maintain a relationship with me. He was generous with it. He was paying in sense, which was very generous. He would checking with my mum. Some things that were meaningful to it in that time. And then it may still not have worked, but that his mother, Paula, had been in a very serious car crash. And she had become sort of like a surrogate mother for me. So because my mum wasn't there, I could look after her. The way that I would. Sorry, the way that I would have liked to look after my own mum. So I became very close to his mother, and she had been in a car crash, and in 2000. And story, it may have been 5. I don't recall exactly. She took her health took a serious decline. And Epstein called me and asked me if I could look after her. By looking after her, that meant organizing her doctors, making sure she had new clothes, making sure her house was clean.
Where was she?
She lived in a retirement establishment outside of Palm Beach, it's West Palm. I was going to say something like the Golden Girls, but it's not called that. I just don't remember what it is called. But it was an old age. It was a retirement home, if you will.
Todd, I don't know. We've been going for maybe about an hour now. Do you think, is this a good time? Yeah. So we'll take a break. Yep.
All right, so we're going to take a break. The time is 10:56. And we're continuing the proper interview with Miss Maxwell. The time is 11:07 a.m. on Thursday, July 24th.
All right. So, just picking up where we just stopped. So you have basically a break. Well, not a break, that's the wrong word, but your relationship with Mr. Maxwell, professional and other changes in 2003-4?
Yeah, I mean, over the time that I stay with Ted, the more time I'm with Ted, the more distance I have with him. And then when the arrest, let's go back, whatever happened in 2005 and he became arrested in 2000.
So when he's charged and arrested in what we'll call the Florida investigations, that's what you're talking about. Okay, go ahead.
So I was not in, well,
were you part of that investigation?
Absolutely.
Did law enforcement ever talk to you as part of that? Did you, the feds never talked to you? No. The FBI never talked to you?
No. I never even received a phone call.
So you didn't receive a subpoena?
No.
Did the state law enforcement ever reach out to you?
No.
As far as you know, did the government, either state or federal, subpoena your bank records or subpoena anything from your financial life during that time, that time?
Not as far as I'm aware. Now, if they did, I don't know it, and I have no idea about that, to be honest, but I'm not aware of it, and I would say no, but maybe you guys do things that I don't know.
So how did you learn of that case? When Mr. Epstein was arrested, or did you know that something was happening before then?
The first thing I knew was he had told me he was deciding to redecorate the house in Palm Beach.
Yeah.
It didn't surprise me. It was like a rolling situation.
But that time, are you like, he tells you because he wants your help, or had your relationship changed by this time where you were no longer kind of acting as his general manager?
No, I was still around. I wasn't gone. I was with Ted. I was traveling. I wasn't daily. If you'd asked me where he was in any given time, I'm not sure I would have known then. I mean, it was. I felt like I suppose the relationship moved into sort of like a long-term friend, family. You know, like I felt like he had with Eva, if I'm honest.
Yeah. Okay. So he says to you he's going to redecorate the Palm Beach house.
He asked me specifically which decorator he thinks he should use, because I had a lot of contacts with decorators, and he was not very good with people. He used to maintaining relationships with people who worked for him. I'm not. So, anyways, I recommended. I think I recommended. I can't be 100% sure because it's a long time, but I think I recommended Mark Zeff at that time.
Who?
Mark Zeff.
Okay.
I believe. And I don't know why. I don't remember. That's all lost to time. But anyway, at some point, I think his mother had died now. I can't remember the timing of all of that either.
Okay.
But I ended up in Palm Beach, and he had asked me to come and look at the swatches or whatever he was doing, because they had laid it all out over the house and various things, and I think he'd asked for my opinion. That's my memory of this. It may also be that Ted and I were going to Palm Beach because Ted had a golf match or something. There was a reason I was in Palm Beach. It wasn't solely... maybe that's not true either. I don't know. So
Okay.
there's sometimes I went to Palm Beach because Ted was there. I don't know if that's part of that time or not. Or Ted went there and left it. I don't know. Something. Anyway, I was there.
I think you would.
No. Anyway, at some point in that time, I saw all the swatches. At some point in 2005, I think that was. And then, I believe, I don't remember. I think I got a phone call, actually. I wasn't in Palm Beach. I think I got a phone call that there was police at his house or something. There was
And would you got a phone call from him, or you think you just told by somebody that knew that it happened, or don't you remember?
Definitely not him.
Okay.
I think it would have been the houseman.
So when that happens, whenever it was, that's kind of the first time you know that Mr. Epstein's being investigated, or...
I didn't even know I didn't even understand.
Okay.
I didn't have a context for that. It was like, I didn't even know, I didn't know.
Okay, so
I didn't, I'm not sure even what I was like, that's weird.
After you find out about it, then what happens with your relationship?
I asked him what was going on, and he said, not to worry, nothing, taking it, don't worry about it. Took a phone call, and then it all went quiet. He didn't say, he didn't share. I wasn't part of it at all. I was off with Ted and Mary.
But did he tell you, well, why don't we come back to more specifics around that time period in a few minutes. I want to just finish this opening part. So that case goes on. Ultimately, it ends. What was your relationship like with him during that case when he goes,
he told me, he said, listen, I'm going to jail. I was like, okay. And he goes, I'd like you to stay on board to manage the properties, the animals, this and that, and just stay put, and I'll continue to pay you in case there's any emergency. I don't trust anyone. And I was like, okay.
Well, when you said continue to pay you,
He'd never stopped paying me.
He never stopped paying. So even when your relationship changes, does the amount increase from the $25,000 or so a year in the beginning? Like, how much are you getting paid yearly?
I think it ended at the time. Well, we had different payment structures, so I'm happy to explain how that worked. But I think salary-wise, if I'm right, it ended at around $250,000 a year.
How much?
$250,000, $250,000.
And when did it end? When was that it stopped?
2008 or 9.
So
9. When did he come out of jail? Whenever he came out of jail.
Okay. So, and over the years, it increased from what you said, what you thought about 25,000 to 250,000. That's between like early 90s until 2009 or 10, whenever he stopped. Is that right?
Yes.
And how were you paid?
W-2.
W-2 from what company?
He just moved me around over to this company, that. I didn't care.
Okay.
And I didn't care, and I didn't think, I didn't understand any rhyme or reason. It doesn't, I just, whatever.
Okay.
And maybe,
So when he's going to go to jail, he says, "Can you stay around and manage everything?"
yeah,
And do you do that?
I do.
Okay. And then we'll come back to that.
But we'll not manage everything, no. I mean, there are other people at this point. My specific role then was very, very diminished.
Okay.
I reviewed the bill structure that came from the constructions that was filming the island
Okay.
and wherever else I was going, Paris at this point, because I speak French. I'm fluent in French. And also my relationship with the French decorator was critical to him. And the French component part of that aspect that was really vital. And so you'd have had to find someone who was, and the Spanish, trilingual. You would have had to find someone who was trilingual and find that he trusted
Did you
to not steal from him.
So when he gets out of jail, between that time, 2009 or 10, and 2019, what's your relationship like with Mr. Epstein?
Almost non-existent.
Why?
I had just moved on, and I just didn't want to have anything. I didn't want the drama. I didn't want to be associated with.
So do you recall, when you say almost non-existent, does that mean
Doesn't mean it
some
wasn't.
phone calls, some visits, some trips, or what does it mean?
I don't think there were any trips. So I don't think so.
Where were you living during that time period, or was it
Which time period?
between 2009, 10, and 2019?
I was back in New York.
So you had no. So you had phone calls with him on occasion?
Yes. Well, I certainly did. Whenever there was any legal drama or any serious press attention, I always called him to try and find out what was going on.
Okay.
And I did email him at that time for those types of details. I was like, what do I do? I was like...
And then when he's charged in New York federally, how did you learn about that case?
In the press.
And had you, as far as you know, been contacted by law enforcement before his arrest?
None. I wasn't in an indictment.
No, I know that, but even as a witness or asking you if you would give documents or materials.
I had never, up until when my lawyers said that, I don't even know, I had no knowledge of them being interested in me. Honestly, I want to say until he had died. Now, I know that my lawyers were in touch with some district of New York at some point after his arrest. I'm pretty sure that had happened, right?
Okay.
But my understanding is that they had not shown any interest. I know my lawyers went to see them once, I believe. And
Went to see him, meeting Mr. Epstein?
no, them, so some district of New
Okay,
York.
the Sons of New York.
Sorry. And that they had been in touch with them. And
But now you're talking about after Mr. Epstein died, or are you talking about before he died?
I think
If you
I-
can remember.
it's easily verifiable. My memory is that they were in touch with him when he was arrested.
Okay.
I don't know if anything happened until after his death, then after that.
Okay.
I don't think they saw them, met with them, Southern District of New York I'm talking about now, until after he died. I know that they were in regular telephone contact with them, and that my lawyers believed that they had been told that there was no interest in me,
Okay.
and were absolutely stunned when I was arrested. Maybe stunned is too big a word, but surprised. I certainly was.
Okay. So so that's was a long description of what was a very long life, and that was very helpful. So I want to go back and talk more specifically now about particular areas, but that was a very helpful kind of foundation for us. The first the first thing I want to talk about, you talked about earlier on about Mr. Epstein's financial success. What, do you know how he, when you first meet him at some point, you say, I got this place for you to rent, you can't afford it, and he laughs at you and says, yes, I can. What did you learn about his wealth and how he was, and how he accumulated his money?
I can tell you what he told me.
Yes.
So I know that he was hired from working at a private school whose name eludes me at this point. Dalton. He was working at Dalton as a math teacher. And he met, I think it was Ace, I'm not sure. He met someone from Bear who hired him because he was very good at math. And I believe that he then worked on creating.
Alrighty lads, that's it for this video. I think I will post the next video tomorrow, so please hit that bell icon so you can get notified when the next video drops, and of course leave a like, leave a comment, share these videos, share these stories, share these my channel. Please guys, do your own research. It's so important. Make notes, because when I drop my my deep dive into these interview parts, I will show you my notes, and I will, or better said, we can compare our notes if you already provided them. So please, timestamps and write down what you heard, what you think is not true, what you think is true, and so on. That's so important, guys. Thank you so much for watching the video. You are so protected, you are so loved. It's all of us against them. We are on the right side because, yeah, I think we just want to ensure a safe future for the children and for the innocent and for all other souls out there. And I think that's the right side, but yeah. But guys, I'm out of time. I'm manifesting a wonderful day for you and your loved ones. Peace, much love, and yeah, all we do is to secure a better tomorrow. For a better tomorrow.